GDP and the quality of life. This opinion examines why rising GDP does not necessarily translate into improved living standards in Pakistan. It is that time again, the usual boom and bust cycle of Pakistan's endless economic cycle, when we begin to hear increasing murmurs of higher GDP growth. Boom and bust cycle is an idiomatic expression referring to recurring periods of rapid economic growth followed by sharp decline. Endless economic cycle emphasizes the repetitive, unresolved nature of these fluctuations. This opening sentence introduces the topic by highlighting Pakistan's recurring economic volatility and the emphasis on GDP growth. The monks in the power halls of the country zealously sing hymns of high growth and stability, and those who govern us promise dizzying heights for the umpteenth time. Monks in the power halls is a metaphor describing powerful officials as devout believers in growth rhetoric. Zealously sing hymns is an idiomatic expression, meaning they passionately promote these ideas. Dizzying heights is a metaphor suggesting extremely ambitious targets. Umpteenth time is an idiomatic expression, meaning many times over. This sentence means that government elites consistently boast about economic growth and stability despite the recurring nature of crises. Did past instances of GDP growth solve our pressing matters? Let us contemplate. This rhetorical question invites reflection on whether previous growth truly improved quality of life. This sentence challenges the assumption that high GDP growth resolves underlying issues. Pakistan's economic growth trajectory contains numerous instances of a high growth rate. This sentence states that Pakistan has experienced many periods of rapid economic expansion. In the 21st century, we've had several touching 6 and 8%. This sentence means that growth rates of 6–8% have been recorded in recent decades. Between fiscal years 2000 and 2024, the gross national income increased from Rs 17 trillion to Rs 45 trillion for State Bank, respectable by any standard. Gross national income is a technical term measuring the total income earned by a nation. This sentence provides statistical evidence of impressive nominal growth in national income. Additionally, the federal and provincial governments have been expanding their footprint under the guise of welfare and enhancing economic growth, estimated to be around 67% or more of the aggregate economic activity, size of government footprint in the economy, by Nadeem Haq Rajarafi. Under the guise of is an idiomatic expression meaning under the pretense of. Expanding their footprint is a metaphor meaning increasing government involvement. This sentence means that government spending, often disguised as welfare, constitutes a large part of economic activity. In FY 0001, the total expense of the federal government stood at Rs 732 billion and 511 million, including transfers to provinces, of which development spending stood at Rs 72 billion. This sentence presents fiscal data on government expenditure for FY 0001. At the end of the first half of FY 2024-25, December 2024, the total expense had leapfrogged to Rs 11 TR and 301 BN, set to cross Rs 17 TR by the fiscal year's end, of which development spending stood at Rs 743 BN. Leapfrogged is a phrasal verb meaning jump significantly. This sentence means that government spending has skyrocketed in recent years. Any way you look at it, these are quantum leaps in expenses. Quantum leaps is a metaphor meaning enormous, abrupt increases. This sentence emphasizes the drastic rise in fiscal expenditures. Yet despite all this, we observe something strange going on. This sentence means that high spending has not necessarily improved living conditions. The denizens of this country are leaving in droves, even the ones who enjoy a decent quality of life thanks to their wealth. Denizens is a formal term meaning inhabitants. Leaving in droves is an idiomatic expression meaning mass emigration. This sentence means that many citizens, including the relatively affluent, are emigrating. Across the length and breadth of the country, whether in cities or far-flung areas, there is palpable despair and hopelessness, captured aptly by the basic survey led by my senior colleague, Dr. Duran Ayab. Palpable means clearly perceptible or tangible. This sentence means that widespread discontent is evident nationwide, as shown by survey data. Across the length and breadth of the country, there is palpable despair and hopelessness. This sentence reiterates the widespread nature of the citizens' discontent. How does one reconcile all this? Let us contemplate. This rhetorical question invites readers to consider the paradox between rising GDP and deteriorating quality of life. This sentence means that one must look deeper than GDP to understand the country's problems. To understand this conundrum, it would perhaps be wise to look beyond chosen macro statistics and peer into other, lesser discussed numbers that matter. Conundrum is a noun meaning a confusing and difficult problem or question. This sentence means that looking solely at GDP is insufficient for understanding the true state of the nation. How about property rights, a fundamental component of economic growth and human rights, and the justice system that upholds these rights? Both are almost non-existent. This sentence means that crucial elements like property rights and justice are severely lacking in Pakistan. Clean air? Cities like Lahore and Peshawar now frequently top the list of the most polluted cities, decreasing the life expectancy of their denizens. This sentence means that poor environmental conditions are negatively affecting public health. Intellectual discourse, freedom of expression, and religious tolerance, non-existent to the extent that citizens vanish without a trace, minorities fear for their lives, and organized gangs now openly conduct business in the name of blasphemy, murdering citizens and extorting money from their families. Vanish without a trace is a hyperbolic expression meaning disappear completely. This sentence means that fundamental freedoms and safe spaces are severely compromised in Pakistan. Equal opportunity in a dynamic economy creating jobs? You wish. This sentence, using sarcasm, implies that true equal opportunity and job creation are out of reach. The level of basic services like water, gas, electricity, sewerage, libraries, etc., poor and mediocre. This sentence means that essential public services are substandard. Quality of education? Poor, with over 200 universities failing to produce anything that can compete with the top-tier universities around the globe, and all the while being cesspools of politics, intrigues, and factionalism. Cesspools is a metaphor meaning places of corruption or filth. This sentence means that the higher education system is deeply flawed by internal politics and poor quality. Security of life and property. The whole country, especially cities, are rife with crime and criminal activity. This sentence means that public safety is severely compromised across the nation. Even the capital, Islamabad, merely 906 square kilometers, and with 2,200 security cameras, 72 pickets at entry and exit points, 23 mobile cars with cameras, and the Dolphin Squad, besides the regular police and other security presence, is now infested with crime. There were 900 abductions in 2024. Infested is a metaphor meaning overwhelmed or overrun. This sentence means that even Islamabad, with heavy security measures, is plagued by high crime rates. And of course, 2 provinces are in the throes of a full-blown insurgency. Throes is a noun meaning intense or violent struggles. This sentence means that insurgencies in 2 provinces further destabilize the nation. Last but not the least, any chance of accountability of those who did this to Pakistan and enacting a turnaround for good? Zero. This sentence means that there is no accountability for those responsible for these issues. Before some folks accuse me of spreading negativity, whether they like it or not, what I have stated here is the reality, and only a small fraction of the circumstances that citizens have to endure every day. This sentence means that the author acknowledges criticism, but insists on the harsh reality of the situation. The gist is that merely counting on GDP growth as an end in itself is illogical and counterproductive. Gist is a noun meaning the main point or essence. This sentence means that focusing solely on GDP growth is misguided. Growth brings challenges of its own, which if not handled properly, can become a binding constraint upon our lives, making it more cumbersome and challenging than before. A fact that flies in the face of the paisa fang, tamasha dekh, throw money at a problem and it will be solved, philosophy of our economic managers. Binding constraint is a technical term meaning a limiting factor. Paisa fang, tamasha dekh, is a colloquial phrase meaning that throwing money at problems does not solve them. This sentence means that unchecked growth creates its own problems, contradicting the simplistic view that more money fixes all issues. The ongoing concretization of Islamabad at an unprecedented pace via overpasses, underpasses, and signal-free corridors serves as an apt example. Concretization is a noun meaning the process of building with concrete. This sentence means that rapid construction projects, though boosting GDP, may lead to negative consequences like urban decay. It is a recipe for environmental disaster, just like Lahore, yet it would register as an increase in GDP in national accounts. Recipe 4 is an idiomatic expression meaning a set of conditions that will inevitably lead to a negative outcome. This sentence means that while construction boosts GDP figures, it can lead to severe environmental harm. Our economic managers, politicians, bureaucracy, and the military establishment are still stuck in a growth time warp in which there is room for only a single, outdated philosophy: pour more steel, bricks, and cement into the ground, and that will do the trick, also called brick and mortar growth. Time warp is a metaphor meaning being trapped in an old mindset. Brick and mortar growth is a jargon term referring to physical infrastructure-based development. This sentence means that policymakers remain fixated on traditional construction-driven growth, neglecting quality of life improvements. They get their fair share in between, but at the expense of the hapless citizens who are left with more bills to foot. This sentence means that while elites profit from growth, ordinary citizens bear the financial burdens. The needed shift involves consideration of quality over quantity. This sentence means that sustainable development should prioritize quality of life rather than mere numerical growth. Life and the economic health of a nation are more than taxpayer-finance cemented monstrosities. Taxpayer-finance cemented monstrosities is a metaphor meaning massive government-funded projects that lack social value. This sentence means that a nation's well-being cannot be measured solely by large-scale construction projects. The GDP can even be, say, 10 PC or more, but if citizens still feel insecure in that their life, hard work, and contributions have little meaning, and where they are not stakeholders, then all growth would come to naught. This sentence means that high GDP is meaningless if it does not improve citizens' security and quality of life. Let me leave you with a stunning remark posted by a resident of Karachi, replying to criticism of why fans did not fill the Karachi Cricket Stadium for the opening match of the Champions Trophy. I think people really have no clue about how bad Karachi has gotten. The constant rejection of the residents of this city comes down to the dire situation of the actual metropolitan area. The roadblocks, traffic, crime, generally extreme dissatisfaction, feeling of being forgotten as a city, all this and more, makes any entertainment like cricket feel like a circus that people will rather avoid. Stunning remark is a phrase meaning a surprising or impactful comment. This sentence means that a resident's comment encapsulates the widespread urban decay and disillusionment affecting everyday life. If a resident can understand the dissatisfaction at hand, why can't those in the high pulpit of governance? This sentence means that if common citizens recognize the problem, then government leaders must also grasp the urgency for change. The writer is an economist. His current research focuses upon cost-benefit analysis of foreign-funded PSDP projects, economic reforms, and the history of economic thought. This sentence identifies the author's expertise and research interests. Shahid.Mehmood@gmail.com, X @ShahidMehmood79, Vlog, Cafe Iqtisad. Published in Dawn, March 14, 2025.